Your tongue thinks it's on fire right now. It isn't. There's no flame touching it, no acid eating through your skin. Just one molecule, so small, 10 million of them could sit on the head of a pin, lying to your brain. And somehow, that lie is a $2.7 billion industry. You, yes, you, watching this with a bottle of something spicy in your fridge right now. Why do you keep doing this to yourself? 9,000 years ago, in what's now central Mexico, a plant tried to kill anything with teeth. Not with poison, with pain. Every mammal that bit into a wild chili pepper felt its mouth catch fire, and every mammal learned, fast, never to do that again. But here's the twist the plant didn't see coming. Birds have almost none of the receptor that makes capsaicin hurt. To a bird, a habanero tastes like nothing at all. So birds ate the peppers whole, flew for miles, and dropped the seeds, undamaged, in their droppings. The plant hadn't declared war on being eaten. It had just been picky about who got to eat it. Somewhere in that same Mexican valley, around 7,500 years ago, a human picked up a chili pod, felt that same fire every other mammal had learned to fear, and ate it again anyway. Archaeologists have found chili residue on cooking pots in Ecuador and Mexico older than the wheel, older than written language, older than the city of Rome. By the time the Aztec Empire was trading in cacao and gold, chilies were currency too. A basket of them could be handed over as tax. Warriors carried them as rations. Mothers used them, in small doses, to discipline children. Then in 1493, a sailor with Christopher Columbus tasted one for the first time, and did something everyone does at least once. He wrote home that he'd discovered a new kind of pepper. He was wrong. It wasn't related to black pepper at all. He just didn't have another word for, "This hurts and I like it." In 1868, a man named Edmund McIlhenny had lost almost everything. The Civil War had wrecked his family's fortune on Avery Island, Louisiana. Union troops destroyed the salt works that once made them rich. His wife's family plantation was in ashes. He was, by every account, a broke man in his 50s with nothing left to sell, except a handful of pepper seeds someone had given him years before, a variety from Tabasco, Mexico, that he'd been growing almost as a hobby. He mashed the peppers with salt from the very deposit the war had spared, let it age in old empty cologne bottles because that's what he had lying around, and started selling it one bottle at a time to grocers in New Orleans. He had no factory, no investors, no plan for what it would become. Just a ruined man, some salt, and a plant that used to be a weapon against being eaten. That bottle is still sold today. Over 750 million of them a year, in more than 195 countries, under the name he gave it, Tabasco. Here's the payoff from the very start of this video. Why do you do this to yourself? Capsaicin binds to a receptor called TRPV1, the same one that fires when your skin touches something over 43 degrees Celsius. Your tongue isn't burning. Your brain just can't tell the difference between this is 43-degree heat and this is a chili. So your body responds the way it would to a real injury. It floods you with endorphins, the same pain-killing chemicals released after a hard run, or after crying, or after a bad fall. You get a rush that feels, chemically, close to relief. A psychologist named Paul Rosen gave this a name in the 1980s, benign masochism. Pain minus the actual danger equals pleasure. Roller coasters work the same way. So does a scary movie. So does jumping into freezing water. You're not broken for loving hot sauce. You're running the exact same trick as the plant that invented it. Except this time, you're the one in on it. In 1980, A man named David Tran left Vietnam on a Taiwanese cargo ship named the Huey Fong with almost nothing. He landed in Los Angeles, and within a year he was grinding red jalapenos in a small factory and bottling them under a rooster logo, a nod to the Vietnamese zodiac year he was born in. He called it Huey Fong Foods. You know the sauce by its nickname, sriracha. He never trademarked the word sriracha itself, and he never spent $1 on advertising. It didn't matter. Restaurants put it on every table. It became the best-selling hot sauce condiment on earth without a single commercial ever airing. Today, the global hot sauce market moves close to $3 billion a year, built entirely on a chemical trick a plant invented to stop from being eaten, that humans decided to enjoy instead. While Louisiana and Los Angeles get the spotlight, two other chili empires were built on the opposite sides of the planet, with nobody borrowing from anybody. When Portuguese traders brought chilies from the Americas into Africa in the 1500s, African bird's-eye chilies fused with a Portuguese piri-piri marinade tradition in Mozambique and Angola. That combination eventually crossed the ocean again, into a small Johannesburg restaurant chain most people know today only by its storefront name, Nando's. Chilies reached Korea by a completely different route, through Japan and China in the 1600s, and the Korean court didn't turn them into a sauce for eggs or oysters. They fermented them for months, with rice and soybeans, into a thick red paste called gochujang, now a base ingredient in dishes that didn't exist until that pepper arrived. Same plant, same molecule, 3 continents, inventing 3 completely different ways to be set on fire. By 1912, chili peppers had conquered kitchens across 3 continents, but nobody could agree on how hot was hot. A pharmacist named Wilbur Scoville, working on capsaicin-based medicinal ointments at the Parke Davis Company, decided to fix that. His method was blunt but clever. He'd dissolve a pepper extract in sugar water, then hand it to a panel of 5 trained tasters. He kept diluting it, sip by sip, until 3 out of 5 people could no longer detect any heat at all. Whatever dilution that took became the pepper's score. In Scoville heat units, a bell pepper measured 0. A jalapeno needed to be diluted roughly 5,000 times before it disappeared. A habanero took more than 100,000 dilutions. The test had one obvious flaw. It depended on human tongues, and human tongues disagree. So decades later, scientists replaced the taste panel with a machine, liquid chromatography, that measures the exact concentration of capsaicin molecules in a sample, then converts that number mathematically into Scoville units. No tasters, no guessing, just chemistry. The name stuck anyway. A century later, we still measure fire in units named after a man testing ointments. Once heat had a number, growing the hottest pepper on earth became a competition with a paper trail. In 2013, a South Carolina breeder named Ed Curry unveiled the Carolina Reaper, a gnarled scorpion-tailed pepper that Guinness certified at an average of 1.6 million Scoville units, roughly 200 times hotter than a jalapeno. It held the world record for a decade. Then, in 2023, the same breeder broke his own record. Pepper X measured in at nearly 2.7 million Scoville units, hot enough that handling the plant bare-handed can leave a chemical burn. That number isn't just for bragging rights. The same capsaicin molecule, in a concentrated form, is what puts the burn in pepper spray. And in a far smaller, medically controlled dose, that same molecule is used in patches that treat chronic nerve pain, because repeated exposure eventually numbs the very receptor it first set off. The plant's original weapon has become a self-defense tool, a medical treatment, and a competitive sport, all from the same trick it invented 9,000 years ago. So next time your eyes water over a plate of wings, remember, you're not in pain, you're in on the oldest trick in the plant kingdom, and you're winning. If you want the next story most people get wrong, subscribe to Taste Roots, because the food on your plate always has a stranger history than you think.